I woke up in a nursing home at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I had no idea how I got there. The room smelled like disinfectant and defeat. There was a clipboard at the foot of my bed with my name on it. Benjamin Clark, 65 years old, admitted for cognitive decline. I'm a retired accountant. I've never been sharper in my life. My son Nathan had me committed using forged court documents to steal my $1.2 million house. 8 people watched him do it, and nobody stopped him. I sat in that sterile room for exactly 12 minutes, thinking about my dead wife Helen and the letters she left me. Then I asked the nurse for a phone call. But I wasn't confused. I was furious. Let me back up and tell you who I am. I'm Benjamin Clark, retired accountant from Milwaukee. 43 years with Henderson and Associates, handling books for small businesses. Numbers don't lie. People do, but numbers tell the truth every single time. I married Helen Winters in 1978. She was a school librarian with gentle hands and sharp eyes. We had 2 children, Nathan and Sarah. Sarah died in a car accident 12 years ago. Drunk driver ran a red light. Nathan was all we had left. For 42 years, I thought I was raising a good son. Nathan was smart, ambitious, driven, got his MBA from Northwestern, became a financial director at Morrison Construction, made good money, had a beautiful wife named Lauren, 2 kids, Ethan and Olivia. I thought being a good father meant giving everything. Helen always worried I was too generous. Benjamin, she'd say, love doesn't mean saying yes to everything. I'd laugh it off. Nathan was my son, my pride and joy. The numbers in my checkbook showed exactly how much I believed in him. But before I tell you how this all unfolded, let me know in the comments. Have you ever had a family member try to take advantage of you? What did you do about it? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Helen died 4 years ago, heart attack in her sleep. Peaceful, the doctor said. I woke up and she was just gone. 43 years together, and suddenly I was sleeping in an empty house with too many memories. The funeral was beautiful. Helen would have loved the flowers, white roses, and baby's breath. Nathan delivered a perfect eulogy about her kindness and wisdom. Lauren cried appropriately. The grandchildren looked confused and sad, but something happened at the reception that should have warned me. Nathan pulled me aside while people were still eating Helen's favorite lemon cake. His voice was soft, concerned. Dad, this house is too big for you now. All these stairs, all this upkeep. Maybe it's time to think about something smaller. I stared at him. My wife had been dead for 6 hours. Nathan, not today. I'm just saying, when you're ready, Lauren and I have been talking. We could help you find something nice. A condo maybe, something manageable. Helen whispered something to me the night before she died. She'd woken up around midnight, gripped my hand. Her fingers were cold, fragile. Benjamin, she said, promise me something. If Nathan ever tries to take this house, don't let him. Promise me. I thought she was having one of those end-of-life anxieties. People worry about strange things when they're dying. I should have listened. Let me tell you about the money. Every penny I gave Nathan, every dollar I invested in his future. I kept records because I'm an accountant. Numbers don't lie. Northwestern MBA, $182,000. I paid it directly to the university. Tuition, room and board, books. Nathan graduated summa cum laude. First house down payment, $120,000. Beautiful colonial in Brookfield. Lauren picked it out. They needed to start building equity, Nathan said. Renting was throwing money away. Business loan when Morrison Construction hit rough times, $95,000. Dad, this is just temporary, 6 months, maybe a year. I'll pay you back with interest. That was 3 years ago. I never asked for the money back. Every dollar was documented. I'm an accountant. I kept the receipts, the bank transfers, the loan agreements Nathan signed. All of it filed in my home office in manila folders, marked Nathan Financial Support. Helen used to joke that I documented our grocery shopping. Benjamin, you keep records like we're running a business, she'd say. We are running a business, I'd reply. The business of family. Nathan would smile when I said things like that. Thanks, Dad. I'll pay you back someday. Big hug, big smile, big promises. Lauren would nod appreciatively. Benjamin, you're so generous. Nathan's so lucky to have you. I thought generosity meant love. I thought love meant saying yes. I was keeping score without realizing the game had changed. The first crack appeared 6 months after Helen's funeral. Nathan stopped by on a Sunday afternoon. Lauren was with him, and they had that look couples get when they've been discussing you. Hey, Dad. Nathan's hug felt different, perfunctory. Hello, Benjamin. Lauren's smile was tight. We sat in the living room where Helen and I used to watch the evening news. The silence stretched like taffy. Dad, we've been thinking. This house is a lot of work for someone your age. Someone your age, not someone who just lost his wife. Someone your age. I manage fine. Lauren jumped in. Of course you do, but Benjamin, you're hoarding that big house while we're cramped in a 3-bedroom. The kids are getting older. They need space. Hoarding. My home of 30 years was hoarding. Nathan leaned forward. Dad, you're 65. How much longer can you realistically live here alone? That's when the language started changing. He stopped calling me Dad in casual conversation. Started doing old-timer when he thought I couldn't hear. Started talking about me like I wasn't in the room. Lauren would whisper things like, he's getting forgetful, when I'd ask them to repeat something. But I wasn't forgetful. I was heartbroken. There's a difference. That's when I remembered Helen's letter. She'd left me something before she died. A sealed envelope in our safety deposit box. I'd forgotten about it in my grief. Maybe it was time to see what Helen wanted to tell me. Helen's letter led me to Samuel Reed. Sam was my college roommate at Wisconsin, studied law while I studied accounting. We'd kept in touch over the years. Christmas cards, occasional phone calls, coffee when he was in town. Sam retired from Reed & Associates 2 years before Helen died. Estate planning, trusts, elder law. The kind of legal work that protects people from their own families. I called him the Monday after Nathan's hoarding comment. Ben, how are you holding up? I need to talk, Sam, about Helen's letter. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in his study. Dark wood, leather chairs, walls lined with law books. Sam poured coffee from a silver pot Helen had always admired. She came to see me 2 years ago, Sam said, about a month before she died. My hands went cold. What did she say? She was worried about Nathan, said she'd been watching him, listening to how he talked about money, about your house. She wanted to protect you. I thought about Nathan's MBA debt, the house down payment, the business loan, all that money freely given. What kind of protection? Sam opened a file cabinet, pulled out a thick folder. She asked me to prepare some documents, just in case. I've seen this before, Ben. Seen what? Adult children who view their parents as retirement plans, who mistake generosity for weakness. Helen was smart to plan ahead. He slid the folder across his desk. She set up something called an irrevocable trust. Sam opened the folder and pulled out a thick document. 66 pages of legal text bound in blue covers. The Helen Clark Memorial Trust. An irrevocable trust is exactly what it sounds like, Sam explained. Once it's established, it cannot be changed. Not by you, not by Nathan, not by anyone. I read the first page. Helen had transferred ownership of our house, our savings accounts, even my pension into this trust 2 years ago. On paper, I owned nothing. But I still live in the house, I said. You have lifetime rights of occupancy. You can live there until you die. But if something happens, if you're declared incompetent, if you're abused, if anyone tries to steal from you, the trust protects everything. Nathan had no idea what was coming. Where does the money go when I die? Helen specified a scholarship fund for children who've lost parents. She said Nathan had enough already. My throat felt tight. Helen had seen something I'd been too blind to notice. There's more, Sam continued. She left instructions. If you ever feel threatened, if Nathan ever tries to take advantage, you call me. I activate the protection protocols. What kind of protocols? Sam smiled grimly. Legal ones. Helen was very thorough. I stared at the trust document. Helen's signature was on every page, witnessed and notarized. She'd done this while I was at work. Probably told me she was going to the grocery store. She knew, didn't she? Helen was the smartest woman I ever met. She definitely knew. I left Sam's office with my head spinning. Helen had built me a legal fortress, and I'd been living in it for 2 years without knowing. That afternoon, I drove to Best Buy. I told the young clerk I needed something to record meetings for work. He showed me a digital recording pen, looked like a regular ballpoint, but had a tiny microphone and 8 GB of storage. It records up to 96 hours of audio, he said. Just click the top like you're extending the ink cartridge. I never thought I'd spy on my own son, but driving home, I remembered the way Nathan had looked at my house. Not like he was visiting his childhood home, like he was appraising real estate. That night I sat in Helen's chair and practiced with the pen. Click to record, click to stop. The red light was barely visible unless you knew what to look for. My hands shook the first time I tested it. This felt like betrayal. But then I thought about Helen's trust document, about her careful planning. She'd known this day would come. I decided to carry the pen everywhere. Every conversation with Nathan, every family dinner, every casual phone call. If he was planning something, I wanted evidence. I'm an accountant. I document everything. 3 days later, Nathan called. He wanted to take me to lunch. "Just us guys," he said. "We need to talk about your future." I slipped the recording pen into my shirt pocket and clicked the top. The red light glowed softly against the fabric. The lunch was at Romano's, Nathan's favorite Italian place. He ordered wine for himself, iced tea for me. "You're driving, old-timer," he said with a laugh that didn't reach his eyes. "Nathan, about this morning—" "Dad, I've been thinking about your finances. You're 65. You should have someone helping you manage things." He pulled papers from his briefcase. Power of attorney documents. "This just gives me authority to help you. Pay bills, manage investments. Nothing major. I want to make sure you're protected." I looked at the papers. Legal language, lots of clauses. The pen in my pocket was recording every word. "I manage fine, Nathan." "Sure you do. But what if something happens? What if you get sick? This way I can step in immediately. No delays, no lawyers." But I let him take the money. I signed the papers because I wanted to see how far he'd go. Helen's trust protected everything that mattered. The house, the real money, it was all untouchable. But I had a checking account with $156,000, money I'd kept liquid for emergencies. 3 days after I signed, Nathan transferred every penny to his personal account. He called that evening. "Dad, I moved your money into a better investment. Higher returns. Don't worry about it." I looked at my bank statement online. 0 balance. "What kind of investment?" "Trust me, Dad, it's all handled." The recording pen had captured everything. Over the next 6 months, I became a different kind of accountant. Instead of tracking business expenses, I was documenting my son's betrayal. The recording pen went everywhere. Family dinners, phone calls, casual visits. I kept detailed logs. Date, time, location, what was said. I transferred everything to a USB drive every night, made backup copies. In 6 months, I had enough to destroy him. Recording number 1, Nathan telling Lauren, "Once he's in the home, we'll sell the house within 60 days. But recording number 7, Nathan on the phone with a lawyer. "I don't care if it's legal or not, just make it look official." Recording number 14, Lauren at Thanksgiving. "That house is worth over $1 million. We deserve it after all we've put up with." Recording to 23, Nathan planning the nursing home setup. 8 witnesses, official documents, everything by the book. He'll never know what hit him. I sent copies of everything to Sam Reed. He called me after listening to the first batch. "Ben, this is criminal conspiracy, elder abuse, fraud, potentially kidnapping." "What do I do?" "Nothing yet. Let him make his move. We need them to actually commit the crimes before we can prosecute." I felt like I was watching my own execution being planned. Nathan would come over for dinner, hug me goodbye, tell me he loved me. Then I'd go upstairs and listen to him planning my imprisonment. But Helen's trust protected everything. The house, the money, my future. I just had to survive Nathan's scheme. The first sign something fundamental had changed came at Ethan's birthday party. My grandson was turning 14, and Lauren had organized a family barbecue. I brought Ethan a model airplane kit. He'd always loved building things, just like I did at his age. I found him in the kitchen, looking uncomfortable. "Thanks for the plane, Grandpa." Nathan walked in, beer in hand. "Did you thank the old-timer, Ethan?" Old-timer? Not Grandpa, not even Benjamin. Each time hurt more than the last. "Nathan, I'm your father." He laughed. Of course you are, old-timer. Just a family nickname." But it wasn't a nickname. It was a demotion. Within a week, Lauren started using it too. "How's the old-timer doing?" she'd ask when she called. Like I wasn't there. Like I was a piece of furniture they were discussing. The recording pen caught everything. "Why are you calling Dad that?" Olivia asked during one dinner. Nathan ruffled her hair. "Grandpa's getting older, sweetie. Sometimes old people need different kinds of help." I watched my 11-year-old granddaughter process this. Her eyes shifted between Nathan and me, trying to understand why her father was talking about her grandfather like he was broken. "I'm not broken," I said quietly. "Of course not," Nathan said quickly. "Just different. Different. Like I was a problem that needed solving." That night, I sat in Helen's chair and listened to the recording. Nathan's voice was so casual, so dismissive, like I was already gone. The name-calling was just the beginning. Nathan started controlling when I could see Ethan and Olivia. "Sorry, Dad, the kids can't come over today. Too much homework." "Maybe next weekend, old-timer. They're busy with sports." "Grandpa needs his rest," Nathan would tell them when they asked about visiting. They were using my own grandchildren against me. I'd call to invite them for our usual Saturday morning pancakes, something Helen and I had done for years. But Nathan always had an excuse. "Ethan has soccer practice. Olivia's at a sleepover. They're just too busy, Dad. You understand?" What I understood was systematic isolation. The recording pen captured a conversation between Nathan and Lauren that broke my heart. "How long do we keep the kids away?" Lauren asked. "Until he's settled in the facility. They don't need to see him confused." But he's not confused. He will be by the time we're done. I played that recording 3 times before I could believe it. They were planning to separate me from my grandchildren, then claim I was mentally incompetent. The next week, Olivia called me directly. "Grandpa, can I come over? I miss you." "Of course, sweetheart." 20 minutes later, Nathan called. "Dad, I told you the kids can't visit right now." "Why not?" You're not thinking clearly lately. I don't want them to see you like this." "Like what? Like their grandfather who loved them?" I was being erased from their lives, one excuse at a time. 3 months before the nursing home incident, Lauren started bringing friends to visit. Real estate agents, though she never called them that. "Benjamin, this is Susan. She's in sales." Susan would wander through my house like she was measuring rooms. She'd comment on the hardwood floors, the bay windows, the updated kitchen Helen and I had installed 5 years ago. "This is a beautiful home," Susan said. "Great bones. Perfect location." They were appraising my home like I was already dead. "Are you thinking of selling?" Susan asked me directly. "No," Lauren jumped in quickly. "Benjamin's just exploring options. For the future." I wasn't exploring anything, but Susan walked through my house taking notes, asking about square footage, recent improvements, comparable sales in the neighborhood. After she left, Lauren cornered me. "Benjamin, Susan says this house could sell for $1.2 million easily, maybe more in this market." "I'm not selling." "Of course not, but it's good to know the value." The recording pen captured Susan's real conversation with Lauren as they walked to the car. "List price $1.2 million, but it'll go for more. Location like this, you're looking at bidding wars." "How quickly could it sell?" "In this market, 60 days maximum, maybe 30 if you price it right." "And the old man?" "Once he's out, you can stage it properly. Empty houses show better anyway." They had already planned my removal. The real estate appraisal was just advanced scouting. I sat in Helen's chair that night, looking around the living room where we'd raised our children, hosted Christmas mornings, celebrated anniversaries. They were turning my life into a real estate transaction. Nathan took my spare key on a Tuesday. He said it was for emergencies. Dad, what if something happens and we can't reach you? We need to be able to get in. I'd hidden a key under the fake rock by the front door for 30 years. Helen always said it was too obvious, but it was convenient when we forgot our keys. I'll feel better knowing I can check on you, Nathan said. My own son was burglarizing my house. I knew because things moved. I'm an accountant. I noticed details. The mail got sorted differently. Coffee mugs appeared in the dishwasher that I hadn't used. Books were put back on the wrong shelves. Nathan was entering my home when I wasn't there, going through my things, familiarizing himself with what he'd soon inherit. I installed a small security camera in the living room, hidden behind a picture frame. The footage was damning. Nathan and Lauren walking through my house like they owned it. Lauren opening closets, checking the basement, measuring windows for new curtains. The furniture will have to go, she said on camera. Most of it's too old-fashioned. Nathan was in my home office going through files, looking for financial documents, insurance papers, anything that would help him plan his theft. Did you find the will? Lauren asked. Not yet. He probably has it in a safety deposit box. They had no idea about Helen's trust, no idea that the will was meaningless now. I watched my son violate my privacy and plan my future, all while pretending to care about my welfare. The key I'd given him was the key to my own prison. The power of attorney signing happened at Nathan's kitchen table. He'd invited me for Sunday dinner, said we needed to take care of some paperwork. Lauren cooked pot roast, my favorite. The kids were at friends' houses, just the three of us. Dad, I've been thinking about your finances. At your age, you need someone to help manage things. I watched my life savings disappear. The documents looked official. Legal language about fiduciary responsibility and financial protection. Nathan explained each section like he was doing me a favor. This just gives me authority to help you. Nothing changes day to day. But everything changed. 3 days later, Nathan transferred $156,000 from my checking account to his personal account. When I called him, his explanation was smooth as silk. Dad, I moved your money into a better investment opportunity. Higher returns, better security. What kind of investment? A CD ladder with compound interest. Don't worry about the details. I'm handling everything. The recording pen captured his real conversation with Lauren that night. How much did you move? All of it, $156,000. Is that legal? He gave me power of attorney. I can move money wherever I want. But you're not investing it. Of course not. This is our down payment for the new house. Once we sell his place, we'll have enough to buy that colonial in Wauwatosa. I listened to my son plan my financial destruction while eating the pot roast his wife had made to butter me up. The betrayal had a taste. It tasted like gravy and lies. The last recording was the smoking gun. Nathan and Lauren were sitting in my living room, discussing their timeline while I was supposed to be napping. I was actually upstairs with the recording pen, listening to them plan my imprisonment. Once he's in the nursing home, how quickly can we move? Lauren asked. 60 days maximum. The house will need to be cleaned out first. What about his stuff? Goodwill. Most of it's junk anyway. Junk. 40 years of memories were junk. I had everything I needed. What about the legal issues? Is this really going to work? Nathan's voice was confident. I've got 8 witnesses lined up, professional-looking documents. The nursing home administrator thinks it's all legitimate. Dad will sign the papers, and then he's out of our way. And if he doesn't sign, he will. I've got backup court orders. Everything looks official. But it's not really official. Nathan laughed. Do you think anyone's going to check? It's a confused old man being helped by his caring son. No one questions that narrative. The nursing home won't verify? I've already paid for the first month. They think he's coming voluntarily. I had 23 recordings total, 6 months of documented conspiracy, fraud, and elder abuse. Nathan had planned every detail of my destruction, and I'd captured every word. That night I called Sam Reed and told him it was time. They're making their move next week. Are you ready? Helen made me ready 2 years ago. Nathan called me Monday morning. His voice was concerned, caring. Dad, I've set up an appointment with a lawyer. We need to update your will. I don't need to update anything. Dad, it's been 4 years since Helen died. Your beneficiaries have changed. Trust me on this. Trust him. That was Rich. Something felt wrong from the first word. He picked me up at 10 a.m., drove to an office building downtown. Professional lobby, marble floors, directory listing, Patterson and Associates, estate planning. This won't take long, Nathan said in the elevator. Just some routine updates. The law office looked legitimate. Mahogany conference table, legal books, framed diplomas on the walls. But something was off. The diplomas were too new. The books looked unread. 2 men in suits introduced themselves as attorneys. Professional handshakes, appropriate concern for my comfort. They offered coffee, asked about my health. Mr. Clark, we're here to discuss your care arrangements. Care arrangements, not will updates. What care? I'm fine. Nathan and Lauren exchanged glances. This was rehearsed. Dad, we need to talk about your living situation. You've been having episodes. What episodes? Memory problems, confusion. Last week you forgot where you parked your car. That was a lie. I'd parked in a different spot because my usual space was taken. The recording pen in my pocket was capturing everything. 8 people in the room. The 2 fake lawyers, Nathan, Lauren, 2 men who introduced themselves as social workers, and 2 women who claimed to be witnesses. I counted 8 strangers staring at me like I was insane. One of the fake lawyers opened a file folder. Mr. Clark, your son has petitioned for emergency guardianship due to concerns about your mental capacity. Mental capacity. The words hit like ice water. There's nothing wrong with my mind. Dad, please, Nathan said softly. We found expired food in your refrigerator. You left water running overnight. You called me 3 times last Tuesday asking the same question. Every word was a lie, but it sounded convincing. Lauren pulled out her phone, showed photos to the lawyers. Look at the state of his kitchen. Dishes piled up, food spoiling. He's not taking care of himself. I recognized the photos. They were from Nathan's secret visits to my house. Pictures taken when I was out. Dishes he'd left in my sink to create evidence. My mouth went dry. My heart was beating so fast I could hear it. These are professional assessments, the second lawyer said, sliding papers across the table. Medical evaluations, psychiatric consultations. Everything indicates diminished capacity. I'd never seen any doctors, never had any evaluations. This is fraud, I said. Nathan's face was perfect sympathetic concern. See, this is the paranoia we're dealing with. Dad thinks everyone's against him. The witnesses nodded knowingly. The social workers took notes. Everyone was playing their part in Nathan's theater. 8 strangers stared at me like I was insane. Mr. Clark, for your own protection, we're recommending immediate placement in a supervised care facility. I'm not going anywhere. Boom. Dad, this is for your own good. My hands were shaking. Cold sweat on my forehead. This was really happening. You can sign voluntarily, the lawyer said, or we can proceed with the court order. Nathan stood up, walked to the head of the table like he was presenting a business proposal. He opened a briefcase, pulled out a thick folder. I've documented everything, he said. Photos, witness statements, medical observations. Every word was a lie, but it sounded convincing. He spread photos across the table. My kitchen with dishes in the sink. My garage with tools scattered around. My bedroom with clothes on a chair. Living conditions, Nathan said professionally. Inability to maintain basic hygiene standards. Those were pictures from his illegal entries into my house. The scattered tools were from a project I'd been working on. The clothes were clean laundry I hadn't put away yet. Witness statements from neighbors, Nathan continued, pulling out typewritten pages. Mrs. Henderson saw him in his bathrobe at noon on a Wednesday. Mr. Peterson says he's been talking to himself in the yard. I knew Mrs. Henderson and Mr. Peterson. Neither would have said those things because neither was true. Medical documentation, Nathan said, producing official-looking papers. Dr. Richardson's preliminary assessment indicates cognitive decline consistent with early dementia. I'd never met Dr. Richardson. The lawyers reviewed everything with appropriate seriousness. The witnesses nodded sadly. Lauren dabbed her eyes with a tissue. And the financial irregularities, Nathan added. Dad's been making unusual purchases, forgetting bills, signing checks for odd amounts. He showed bank statements with highlighted transactions. $20 to a grocery store became erratic spending. A $75 charge for the recording pen became unexplained electronics purchases. My own financial records were being used against me. This pattern of decline is textbook, one of the fake lawyers said. Mr. Clark clearly needs supervised care. The evidence was comprehensive, professional, and completely fabricated. I was being buried in my own son's lies. The lead lawyer pulled a document from a manila envelope. Official letterhead, court seal, judge's signature. Mr. Clark, we have an emergency court order for your immediate placement. He slid the paper across the table with ceremony. I'm an accountant. I noticed details. The letterhead font was wrong. Court documents used Times New Roman 12 point. This was Arial. The seal was slightly blurred, like it had been photocopied. The judge's signature looked traced. This is fake, I said. Nathan sighed heavily. Dad, you're not a lawyer. You can't determine what's legal. But I could determine what was sloppy. The document was dated 3 days in the future. The case number format was wrong. Guardianship was spelled guardianship in the third paragraph. I want to see the original filing. Dad, this is the original filing. No, this is a copy. I want to see what was filed with the court. The fake lawyers exchanged glances. Mr. Clark, we understand this is overwhelming. I looked around the table. 8 people watching me challenge obvious forgeries. But they weren't looking at me like I was crazy anymore. They were looking at me like I was dangerous. Nathan's mask slipped for just a moment. His caring expression flickered, and I saw something cold underneath. Mr. Clark, the lawyer said, you can sign these placement documents voluntarily, or we can proceed with involuntary commitment. I'm not signing anything. Nathan leaned forward. Dad, don't make this harder than it has to be. That's when my son showed his real face. No more pretend concern, no more fake sympathy. I've already arranged transportation to the facility. Your room is ready. The recording pen captured everything. I pushed the fake court order back across the table. I'm not signing anything, and I'm not going anywhere. Nathan's face went rigid. The caring son mask finally dropped. Then we'll do this the hard way. He nodded to the 2 men who'd introduced themselves as social workers. They moved closer to my chair. Mr. Clark, one of them said, you're coming with us one way or another. This is kidnapping. No, Nathan said coldly. This is protective custody. Dad, you're mentally incompetent. You can't make decisions for yourself anymore. The fake lawyers started gathering papers. The witnesses stood up, their job done. Lauren was scrolling through her phone, probably texting real estate agents. Dad, I know this is hard, but you'll be comfortable at Willowbrook Manor. Private room, good food, activities, you'll like it. I won't like it because I'm not going. That's when my son showed his real face. Nathan walked around the table, stood behind my chair. Dad, you don't have a choice anymore. I'm your guardian now. I make the decisions. You're not my guardian. That court order is fake. Prove it. The challenge hung in the air. 8 people in business suits against one 65-year-old man. Official documents against my word. Professional testimony against my protests. Mr. Clark, the fake lawyer said, the transport van is waiting downstairs. I thought about Helen, about the trust she'd created, about Sam Reed waiting for my phone call. I thought about the USB drive with 23 recordings hidden in my bedroom. Nathan had no idea what he'd just triggered. I'm not going voluntarily. Fine, Nathan said. Then you're going involuntarily. He motioned to the security guards. 2 men in security uniforms entered the conference room. Professional, polite, but big enough to handle resistance. Mr. Clark, we're here to escort you to your new residence. This is kidnapping, I said to everyone in the room. You're all witnesses to kidnapping. Nathan stepped forward. Dad, you're having an episode. These gentlemen are here to help you. My hands were shaking. The room felt like it was tilting, but the recording pen in my pocket was capturing everything. One security guard took my left arm, gentle but firm. The other picked up my jacket from the chair. Sir, if you come quietly, this will be easier for everyone. The fake lawyers were packing up their props. The witnesses were already heading for the door. Lauren was still on her phone. "Nathan, please," I said. "I'm your father." He looked at me for a long moment. No warmth, no recognition, no love, just calculation. "You were my father," he said quietly. "Now you're my responsibility." They walked me through the office lobby like I was a confused old man being helped by caring family. The receptionist smiled sympathetically. A few people in the waiting area glanced over with polite concern. No one saw kidnapping. They saw dutiful children managing an aging parent. The van outside was white, unmarked, with tinted windows. Willowbrook Manor was written in small letters on the side door. "Mr. Clark, please watch your step." I looked back at Nathan and Lauren standing in the office building doorway. Nathan was already on his phone. Lauren was smiling, but they had no idea what they'd just triggered. They'd just activated Helen's trap. The nursing home room was small, sterile, institutional. Single bed with white sheets, one window looking out at a parking lot. The smell of disinfectant couldn't quite cover the smell of old age and resignation. They'd taken my wallet, my keys, my phone. Standard procedure for new residents, they said. But they'd missed the recording pen in my shirt pocket. A nurse brought me dinner on a tray. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans that had been cooked to death. Hospital food for people who didn't have choices anymore. "Mr. Clark, I'm Janet. I'll be your night nurse. Is there anything you need?" A phone call. "Family visits are tomorrow afternoon. Your son said he'd be by." "I need to call a lawyer." Janet's expression shifted slightly. "Sir, residents can't make legal calls without guardian approval. Your son would need to authorize that." Guardian approval. Nathan controlled who I could call. In that darkness, I made my choice. I waited until Janet finished her rounds, until the hallway outside my door went quiet. Then I pulled out the recording pen and played back Nathan's voice from the conference room. "You were my father. Now you're my responsibility." The words were sharp in the sterile silence, but they weren't true. Nathan wasn't responsible for me. Helen was. Her trust, her planning, her letter. Everything was still waiting, still protected, still mine. I just needed to survive long enough to activate it. The next morning brought a different nurse. Younger, sharper eyes, the kind of person who asks questions. "I'm Rachel Morgan, day shift supervisor. How did you sleep, Mr. Clark?" "Fine. Can I use a phone?" "Let me check your file." She opened a tablet, scrolled through information. Her eyebrows drew together. "Mr. Clark, can you tell me the date you were admitted?" "Yesterday." "And who brought you here?" "My son Nathan and 2 security guards." Rachel tapped her tablet screen. "I'm not seeing the usual admission paperwork. Court orders usually come through our legal department first." Someone finally believed me. "There were no court orders," I said. "The documents were forged." Rachel's expression was carefully neutral. "Mr. Clark, that's a serious accusation." "I'm making a serious accusation." She studied my face for a long moment. I could see her thinking, weighing, deciding. "Mr. Clark, I'm going to make some phone calls. Standard verification procedure." "And what kind of verification?" "We're required to confirm all court-ordered admissions with the issuing courthouse within 48 hours. It's policy." My heart started beating faster. What if there's no court record? Then we have a problem. Rachel closed her tablet, looked at me directly. "Mr. Clark, if what you're saying is true, this facility could be charged with unlawful detention." "What does that mean?" "It means someone's going to jail, and it won't be you." Rachel returned 2 hours later. Her face was grim. "Mr. Clark, I called the courthouse. There's no record of any guardianship filing for Benjamin Clark. No emergency order, no competency hearing." The relief hit me like cold water. "So I can leave?" "Not yet. I need to follow protocols, but I can arrange for you to make a phone call." "My son said—" "Your son lied about the court orders. I'm not taking his word about phone restrictions either." She led me to a small office behind the nurse's station. Privacy, a real phone, a door that closed. "You have 15 minutes, she said. Make them count." I dialed Sam Reed's number from memory. He answered on the second ring. "Sam Reed." "Sam, it's Benjamin." They did it. Nathan had me committed with fake court orders. A pause. Then, "Where are you now?" "Willowbrook Manor. A nurse here figured out the documents were forged." "Ben, listen carefully. Don't say anything else to anyone. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to any treatments or medications. I'm activating Helen's protection protocols right now." Samuel had been waiting for my call. "What happens next?" "Next, your son finds out what happens when you mess with Helen Clark's husband." I could hear papers rustling, keyboards clicking. "Ben, you're going to be fine. Helen made sure of that." Sam Reed had been preparing for this call for 2 years. Within an hour of hanging up, he was in front of an emergency judge with a briefcase full of evidence. I found out later what happened in that courtroom. "Your Honor, my client Benjamin Clark has been illegally detained based on forged court documents. I'm requesting immediate release and criminal investigation." The judge, the Honorable Margaret Williams, reviewed the USB drive of recordings first. 23 conversations between Nathan and Lauren, planning fraud, elder abuse, and false imprisonment. 2 years of preparation unleashed in 48 hours. "Mr. Reed, these recordings are disturbing. But how do I know the detention is actually illegal?" Sam submitted the real court records. No filings, no hearings, no orders. Then he submitted copies of Nathan's forged documents with the misspellings, wrong dates, and incorrect formatting highlighted. "Your Honor, this is criminal document forgery in service of elder abuse. My client is being held against his will, based on fabricated evidence." Judge Williams reviewed the irrevocable trust next. Helen's careful language protecting my assets, my rights, my dignity. The deceased wife anticipated this scenario? Helen Clark was perceptive about her son-in-law's character. The judge signed 3 orders: immediate release, asset freeze on Nathan's accounts, and criminal investigation referral. "Mr. Reed, get your client out of that facility immediately, and contact the DA's office. This isn't just civil fraud. This is kidnapping." Sam called me at 4 p.m. "Ben, pack your things. You're coming home tonight." That evening, back in my own house, Sam opened Helen's sealed letter. The blue envelope I'd wondered about for 4 years. The wax seal cracked under his thumb. She knew this would happen. "Dear Benjamin," Sam read aloud, "if you're reading this, Nathan has shown his true nature. I'm not surprised. I saw the signs years ago." Helen's handwriting was careful, deliberate. She'd written this letter knowing I'd need it someday. I've watched Nathan look at our house like it's already his. I've heard him ask questions about your pension, your insurance, your investments. He doesn't see a father anymore. He sees a retirement plan. The letter was 3 pages long. Helen had documented Nathan's behavior, his casual cruelty, his growing sense of entitlement. "Benjamin, you're too trusting. You see the best in people even when they don't deserve it. That's why I had to protect you." Sam's voice was gentle as he read Helen's final instructions. "If Nathan tries to take everything, don't let him. The trust protects the house, but only you can protect yourself. Be stronger than he thinks you are. Be smarter than he believes possible." The last paragraph broke my heart. "I wish I could be there to help you fight this battle, but everything you need is already in place. The trust, the documents, Samuel's friendship. You're not alone, even though I'm gone." And she signed it, "Forever Vigilant," just like the inscription in her wedding ring. Helen had built me a fortress and a weapon. Now I had to use both. Judge Williams didn't waste time. Friday morning brought a court clerk to Willowbrook Manor with official orders. Benjamin Clark is to be released immediately. All admission documents are declared fraudulent. The facility is directed to preserve all records for criminal investigation. The wheels of justice were turning. Rachel Morgan walked me to the lobby personally. "Mr. Clark, I'm sorry this happened here. We've already changed our verification procedures." "It's not your fault, Rachel. You're the one who saved me." "No, sir. You saved yourself. I just made the phone call." Sam was waiting outside in his Mercedes. Professional, calm, but I could see anger in his eyes. "How are you feeling, Ben?" "Like I've been kidnapped and released." "That's because you have been." The drive home was quiet. I looked at familiar streets, familiar landmarks. 12 days ago, I'd been a prisoner. Now I was free, and Nathan was about to discover what real consequences looked like. Ben, the DA wants to meet with you Monday morning. They're considering multiple felony charges. What kind of charges? Forgery, fraud, false imprisonment, elder abuse. Nathan's looking at 5 to 10 years minimum. I thought about Nathan's confidence in that conference room, his certainty that no one would check his fake documents. What about Lauren? She's facing accessory charges. The recordings show she was part of the conspiracy. My phone had 17 missed calls from Nathan. I didn't listen to the voicemails. Sam, what happens to Ethan and Olivia? That depends on what Lauren decides to do. Nathan received the court summons at his office Monday morning. Morrison Construction, corner office, view of the lake. He was probably feeling pretty good about himself. Then a sheriff's deputy handed him a thick envelope. I learned about his reaction from Lauren later. She called me, crying, begging for help. Benjamin, Nathan came home white as a sheet. He was shaking. He said you'd ruined everything. His perfect plan was crumbling. The court summons listed every crime: forgery, fraud, false imprisonment, elder abuse, conspiracy. The evidence list was 3 pages long. USB recordings, forged documents, witness statements. Nathan had no idea I'd been recording everything for 6 months. He keeps asking how you got out, Lauren sobbed. He said the nursing home was supposed to keep you there until you died. Until I died. That was Nathan's endgame. Lauren, did you know the court orders were fake? Silence. Then, I thought Nathan said it was all legal. He said you were sick. I'm not sick. I never was sick. Benjamin, please, can you help us? Nathan's talking about leaving the country. He's emptying our bank accounts. My son was running away from his crimes, abandoning his family, destroying everything he'd built. Lauren, call a lawyer. Get yourself separated from Nathan's legal problems. Protect the children. But what about nothing, Lauren? Nathan made his choices. Now he lives with the consequences. 23 recordings, 6 months of evidence, 2 years of Helen's careful planning. Nathan thought he was playing chess, but Helen had taught me to play 3-dimensional chess. 12 days after being kidnapped, I walked out of Willowbrook Manor as a free man. The morning sun felt different on my face. Brighter. Warmer. Rachel Morgan was at the nurse's station when I signed out. Mr. Clark, it's been educational having you here. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for being right. Sam drove me home through neighborhoods I thought I'd never see again. My house looked exactly the same, but I felt different, stronger. Nathan was waiting in the parking lot. He was sitting in his BMW, engine running. When he saw Sam's Mercedes pull up, he got out slowly. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Dad, we need to talk. No, we don't. Nathan stepped closer. His face was desperate, pleading. Dad, I can fix this. We can work something out. Nathan, you kidnapped me. It wasn't kidnapping, it was protective custody. I was trying to help. Sam Reed stepped between us. Mr. Clark, you're under criminal investigation. I'd recommend not talking to my client without your attorney present. Dad, please. I'm your son. I looked at Nathan for a long moment. 42 years of fatherhood. All those birthday parties, baseball games, bedtime stories, proud moments when he graduated, or got promoted, or got married. All of it destroyed by greed. You're not my son anymore, I said quietly. You're a criminal who happens to share my DNA. Nathan's face crumpled. Dad, don't say that. I'm going inside now. Don't follow me. As I walked toward my front door, I heard Nathan calling after me. Dad, please. I can fix this. But some things can't be fixed. Nathan was arrested the next morning at his office. Handcuffs, perp walk, local news cameras. Morrison Construction immediately suspended him pending investigation. The irrevocable trust protected everything that mattered. The house, the real money, my future, all untouchable. Lauren called me that afternoon from a lawyer's office. Benjamin, they're saying Nathan could go to prison for 10 years. That's what happens when you commit multiple felonies. But the children, what about Ethan and Olivia? What about them? I can't afford the house payment without Nathan's salary. I can't afford anything without Nathan's salary. I waited for her to ask the real question. Benjamin, could you Could you help us, just until this gets sorted out? Lauren, you helped Nathan plan my kidnapping. You brought real estate agents to appraise my house while I was still living in it. You called me a hoarder. I didn't mean... Yes, you did mean it. Silence on the phone. Benjamin, what am I supposed to do? Get a job, sell your house, learn what it means to live within your means. But the children will have to change schools. Ethan and Olivia are welcome to live with me, if you can't provide for them. Another long silence. You'd take them? They're my grandchildren. They're not responsible for their parents' crimes. He finally understood what he'd lost. Everything. His freedom, his family, his future. Nathan had gambled everything on stealing my house. Instead, he'd lost his own. Nathan's world collapsed in 72 hours. Morrison Construction fired him immediately. 20 years of building his career destroyed by a background check that revealed pending felony charges. Lauren filed for divorce on Wednesday. Her lawyer made it clear she was separating herself from Nathan's legal troubles. Irreconcilable differences, the paper said. But the real difference was between being married to a financial director and being married to a convicted felon. Nathan pled guilty to avoid a trial. 3 years probation, $251,000 restitution to me, 500 hours of community service, and a permanent ban from any job requiring financial responsibility. Your Honor, Nathan said at sentencing, I just wanted to help my father. Judge Williams wasn't buying it. Mr. Clark, you forged court documents, committed fraud, and imprisoned your father against his will. This wasn't help. This was elder abuse. Nathan was also ordered to attend mandatory psychological counseling and anger management classes. The house in Brookfield went up for sale immediately. Lauren couldn't afford the payments, and Nathan's legal fees were draining their savings. Within a month, Nathan went from being a successful executive to being unemployable. Financial crimes leave a permanent stain. No bank, no investment firm, no accounting company would hire him. He moved in with his cousin in Ohio. Last I heard, he was working at a hardware store for $12 an hour. Lauren took the children and left. But I wasn't finished yet. There was still one more thing Helen had planned. 2 months after Nathan's conviction, Lauren called me. She was crying. Benjamin, I can't do this anymore. I can't afford rent. I can't afford groceries. The kids are asking why Daddy doesn't live with us anymore. What do you want from me, Lauren? Could Ethan and Olivia stay with you? Just temporarily, until I get back on my feet? My grandchildren, innocent victims of their parents' greed. Of course. The legal paperwork was straightforward. Emergency guardianship while Lauren dealt with her financial crisis. Sam Reed handled everything professionally. Ben, this is temporary? That depends on Lauren. Ethan and Olivia moved in the following weekend. Their belongings fit in the back of my Honda. Clothes, books, a few toys. Everything else had been sold to pay lawyers and rent. Grandpa, why did Dad try to steal your house? Olivia asked while unpacking. Your father made some very bad choices, sweetheart. Are we going to live here now? For as long as you need to. Ethan was 14, old enough to understand more of the truth. Grandpa, I heard Mom and Dad fighting. Dad said you ruined his life. No, Ethan. Your father ruined his own life. I just refused to let him ruin mine. But there was one more thing to do. One final piece of Helen's plan. 6 months later, I was sitting in my living room with Ethan and Olivia. They were doing homework at Helen's old desk while I cooked dinner. Grandpa, why didn't you fight back sooner? Ethan asked. I looked at Helen's wedding ring on my finger. The inscription was worn smooth from 43 years of marriage. Forever vigilant. Helen knew this day would come. Your grandmother taught me something, Ethan. She said, love doesn't mean being blind. It means being prepared. Do you still love Dad? Olivia asked quietly. I paused, thinking carefully. I loved the son I raised, but the man he became, that's someone I don't recognize. I opened the drawer where I kept Helen's final letter, the blue envelope, still creased from Sam's reading 6 months ago. Your grandmother knew this would happen. She protected us all, even from beyond. Ethan read the inscription on Helen's ring. Forever vigilant. What does that mean? It means paying attention. It means protecting the people you love. It means knowing that sometimes the biggest threats come from inside your own family. I looked around my living room, my house, my grandchildren, my peace. I never wanted to use that letter, but Helen taught me something important. Benjamin, love doesn't mean accepting abuse. It means knowing when to say no. And I finally said no.